Hello everyone, it's Noel, and if you couldn't tell by the beautiful boy drawn in front of me, we are going to be giving him a little bit of color. If you have been following me on Instagram, you'll know that I have, well, for one, I'm definitely more prolific. I'm really sorry for those who are subscribed and I haven't really done as much content. I do apologize. It's mostly because I do still live at home, and that's another thing I have to apologize about this video. There might be noise upstairs very shortly as my father will be home soon. So, anyway, what I wanted to do today was a very dynamic kind of shading tutorial. So a little bit of this is going to be in time-lapse, but some of it is going to be done through explanation. Of course, that can't be time-lapsed, but yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and start filling in the base color for Yusuke here, and I'm going to be using my markers right here. You've seen me use these a few times. I am going to at some point do a little bit of a review on them since I have used them for a few months now. And before that, I'm getting so sidetracked, guys. I'm going to go ahead and fill in the space color and then we're going to talk about it. Okay, so we have our base layer down, and I am using Beach, which is kind of, it's more on the yellow side, but from the reference images that I was using of Yusuke, he does have more of a pinkish tone to him. But this beach color, what it's going to be is it's going to be the very lightest shade in his, I want to say skin arrangement for some reason, but we're going to use it as the highlight for Yusuke. So anywhere that the light is going to be hitting him, I'm going to be basically accentuating that on this side. So I'm going to leave areas of just beach and I will fill them in as necessary when I need to blend. So I'm going to be using a light source, which is over here. How am I going to dictate that? You know what? We'll pretend this is the sun. So this is like my light source area. So, and that's another reason why I left his eyes kind of empty and hollowness, shapeless and stuff, because I'm going to be filling in all of that stuff accordingly. Alright, so the next tone I'm going to use is to make Yusuke's skin a little bit more pink. I'm going to go ahead and leave the reference down below as I always do. And this is in the shade Light Peach, if you can see that, Light Peach. And these are, of course, the Blick Studio markers, and honestly, I really love them. They're pretty great, especially since they're a lot more affordable than Copics. And you also have to keep in mind that you're going to be doing a lot of layers, so you'll want to use an anti-bleed pen. This is Pigma Micron, I think? Yes, very sure. I'm going to go ahead and probably do a review on different types of pens to use as well. But let's go ahead and fill in Yusuke's pinkish tone with time-lapse. Okay, so what you might have seen was I tried to map out where his shadows are, or not shadows, where his highlights are going to be. It just makes it easier for me. That's not something you necessarily have to do, but it definitely helps a lot, especially if you're just getting used to seeing where shadows and lights fall on a human face. I highly recommend looking up on Google, oh, what did I look up? I will go ahead and post a link of like really good references that I like to use, especially for pictures like this. If this is familiar, it is from Instagram. This is my OC, Joe. He and I go way back. But as you can see, he has a lot of depth to his face. He definitely looks like he's in anguish, and the lighting helps with that. I have a better picture probably on my bed, but we are going to focus on Yusuke today. So now that his base skin tone is down, we're going to go ahead and start to deepen these areas of shadow. And if you can see, It is a little bit kind of blotchy in areas. Don't worry about that right now. We are so, we're just getting our feet wet with this. So as we go along with the tutorial, those will basically vanish and disappear. Like you can tell in this, it looks like almost one uniform skin tone. It's actually pretty cool. And that's because of the alcohol in the markers. Something I'm just gonna say really quick, you will definitely want to use a piece of scrap paper for figuring out what shades, and I'm like really sick right now, so I'm like trying to figure out what to say. Use it on, did I even have, my scrap is right here. No, is that my scrap? This is the back, yeah. One of these is my scrap piece where I just like took all the tones that I was interested in using for Yusuke. Here it is, I found it. Yeah, the skin tones I was gonna use for Yusuke. You'll want to use these ahead of time before you actually do it on your your actual piece, because why would you want to ruin your actual piece? And oh yeah, here's a tutorial thing that never really came out. If you want to see this, give it a thumbs up, that'd be cool. But anyway, I have a basic list of the things that I like to use for shading, like latte, taupe, stone, and gray lavender are my go-tos for deep shading, but it also depends on the character's skin tone. But I did work with them, and I think they're going to do very well. So we are going to get started, and I think I'm going to go in with latte first. So here we go. Okay, so there is layer 1 of some shading. Since he is not he's not supposed to be a two-dimensional character, he is very much supposed to be a human, you will want to make sure that you kind of follow a realistic curvature of the face. So, you know, if I just zoom in here, I did try to like round out his forehead a little bit, as well as go down the contours of his face and his lips. And already you can see it's kind of like, ooh, he's bathed in shadow. Also, I don't know if this was very noticeable, but I did try to feather a little bit. That helps with the blending a little bit later. You'll want to take your marker and you'll just want to make like quick strokes against the paper, and that will help create kind of a gradual gradient. And of course, this is all up to you what kind of shadows you're using. Like I said, references are very, very helpful. Especially when you're, you know, just starting out. I'm actually probably going to add a couple more, especially in the hair. Yeah, don't forget, hair casts a shadow too. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this and finish the time lapse of just this color. We're not moving on yet. Now, some people would actually just stop where it is right now and like start blending, but I like to go a couple steps further. The hair shadows that I made are not the best, and that is not really what I'm going for. I'm not going for perfection, really. I'm just kind of having fun. So the next color I'm going to use is Stone, and I should probably explain why I chose the colors I chose. You want to choose colors that kind of go with the character's skin tone. Like if I pull Kuwabara over here, Kuwabara, at least in the image I used, had a very yellow undertone. So I went with like tans. I think I used something, what did I use? Oh, here we go. I used beach, sand, caramel, and gray lavender. Gray lavender is the very last marker I'm going to use. It kind of gives this like purpley undertone, which is kind of common, especially if you look at your own skin. You have like reds, you have pinks, and you know, it's not just black, like, or gray, really. It's definitely colorful, because we are all colorful human beings. But I'm gonna go ahead and use Stone as the next color in my deepening of his shadows. Okay, so already it's starting to look a lot more dynamic and a lot less flat. He definitely looks like he has features that stand out, like his collarbone here. They definitely feel more like he's more three-dimensional and muscular. But it's really fun to play around with, guys. Don't be afraid of doing shadows and things. It's really fun to try and map out your character's face. I'm probably going to add a little bit more to his mouth, and then we're going to go on to the gray lavender. But for right now, I'm going to go back to the latte and the stone just to add a little bit more to his lips. Alright, the last step is I'm going to be pulling in this gray lavender color. Now, I've used it for, I think, Hunk and Allura, but I actually use more of a red, almost very dark wine color for their skin tones because their skin tones are much darker. You know, play around with it. It's really fun to try and figure out what shadows look like, and it's just, I have so much fun doing it, you guys. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this in time lapse and we'll see how it looks. Okay, so as you can see, that really helped, like, just really get his form out there for you. I love it! I can't think of anything else to say except, you know, I like how it turned out. Now what you want to do is if you do see any of this weird, like, well, hold on camera. There we go. Any of this weirdness kind of going on, you'll want to take your secondary tone, and that was your base tone, and that for me was his light peach. And you're going to go all over these shadows and stuff, and that's going to help blend everything together. Of course, make sure you don't hit your highlights too much. And I'm actually probably going to have to go in there with one of my shadow tones. But yeah, I might do that first, and then I will start blending. It's going to be good, guys. Okay, so that did fix out some of the tonal issues I was experiencing. I am going to go back just a little bit, just to fix some more things that I'm seeing, like this here. There's just some tiny little things going on, and I want to fix them. So I'm just gonna go in the same order as I did, like with latte, then stone, then gray lavender, and kind of fix some errors I see with lightness and darkness, and I'll just go from there. So I'll just do that in time lapse real quick. Alright, so that's the skin done, and we only used a few markers. This isn't like any crazy magic, it's literally just observation and kind of knowing, you know, how light works on a person's face. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and finish him up, but I'm not really gonna talk too much because I wanted this to be more of a skin tutorial, because skin has so many tones and qualities to it. And I feel like they're, you know, it's sometimes hard and confusing to figure out where to put things. So I hope this helped you so much, you guys. I'm going to go ahead and finish his hair, and I will go ahead and do his eyes, and then we will have our final talk, and we'll say our goodbyes. And one other thing I forgot to mention before I, you know, completely destroy my setup and everything. You can also, yeah, did you understand that? Yeah, I sure didn't. You can also utilize your colorless blender. Just about every set of markers comes with one, and you can tell that I kind of used it on the tip of Joe's nose here, as well as on the outside, down his cheekbone, or jawline rather, and down his neck. And that just kind of helps make your highlights pop a little bit more. It's not something I would do for everything, but it's definitely an option if you find that you get some bleeding like I did on the outside of his shoulder here too. I might use that later, but right now let's finish him up already. all there is to do is his eyes, and then I might think about putting his highlights in. We'll see. Okay all, so I really fudged up his eyes, but I'm gonna fix that digitally. It's gonna be a thumbnail of lies. But anyway, I hope you just got the gist of how we did the skin, and that's pretty much all I really wanted to get across in this video anyway, not, you know, how I royally screwed up his face. But as always, I am going to just put my name down here because that's what we do in every video. And here we go. All right, there we go. Another Knoel masterpiece complete. Thank you guys so much for joining me today, and I hope you guys have an awesome day. Bye.